Everyone makes mistakes. That's just the unfortunate reality of life. Well, I say unfortunate, but that isn't really the case if you think about it. Because if no one ever made mistakes, life would be boring. It's kind of how good times would never be meaningful without bad times, you know? What makes the best moments of our lives so impactful is the fact that bad things happen too. So today, in this video, I'm going to talk about one of SpongeBob's biggest mistakes he's ever made, how he turned out okay anyways, and what we can learn from it. Our story begins at our favorite undersea eatery, the Krusty Krab. The year is 1999, and SpongeBob is a young and naive fry cook dreaming of living a simple life where he can be more in touch with nature. You see, SpongeBob has always been very conscientious when it comes to nature and the environment. For example, he is a strong advocate for protecting animal rights. We see this side of him in episodes like Jellyfish Hunter, when he frees the jellyfish from Mr. Krabs' cruel corporate scheme, and in SpongeBob's Last Stand, where he literally puts his body on the line in an effort to save jellyfish fields from Plankton's superhighway project. And SpongeBob is always sure to be respectful of nature too. When he goes jellyfishing, he always releases the fish he catches without harming them in any way. One could argue this is not the case in Jellyfish Hunter, but I would argue that he was just being naive and trying to help his boss. As we saw at the end of that episode though, he had no idea Mr. Krabs was basically torturing the fish he was catching until the blue jellyfish, no name, showed him what was really going on. As soon as he found this out, SpongeBob turned against Mr. Krabs, freeing the jellies. Now let's jump back to the Krusty Krab. As I said, SpongeBob was dreaming of a simpler life where he is more in touch with nature. Unfortunately for him though, he took this a little bit too far as he accidentally let the restaurant catch on fire as he started daydreaming while he was standing at the grill. But luckily, it did lead to this hilarious moment where he inadvertently uses his body to extinguish the flames. Hooray! Immediately after this, SpongeBob is talking to Mr. Krabs in his office when he admits that he wants to leave his material life behind to go live with the jellyfish. This is where he arguably made the biggest mistake of his life. By living in jellyfish fields, SpongeBob would have basically no responsibilities. No job, no family or friends to take care of, and nothing but free time on his hands. But that is a double-edged sword. By leaving his regular life behind, SpongeBob essentially gave up his relationships with Sandy, Squidward, Mr. Krabs, even Patrick, as well as the rest of Bikini Bottom. And as we see in the episode, not all of SpongeBob's friends were okay with him making this decision. Patrick went so far as to chase SpongeBob around jellyfish fields in an attempt to catch him so he can bring him back to his rock. Like, as a pet, I guess? I'm not really sure how he thought that was going to work out, to be honest. Like, he was just going to keep his best friend squished inside a mason jar for the rest of his life? Of course, we did get one of the most iconic SpongeBob memes from the chase scene in this episode, so I'm not complaining. In fact, I literally have a shirt with Evil Patrick on it. Shout out to my sister for that one. But getting back to the point, SpongeBob's life among the jellyfish was not as exciting as he thought it would be. By leaving society behind, he gave up a lot of the comforts of life such as good food, entertainment, and reliable shelter, which is more of a necessity than a comfort, but I digress. My point is, SpongeBob gave up a lot for this. He even gave away some of his most prized possessions, such as Old Reliable, his can opener, and even a jar of mayonnaise. And by making such a drastic move, he risked losing everything forever. His friends tried to give him a chance to come home, but he turned them down. They easily could have turned their backs on him at that point and written him off as some nutjob who put his own needs and desires ahead of everyone else's. But as we see at the end of the episode, his friends didn't do that, did they? Rather, when SpongeBob returned to his pineapple, he was welcomed back with open arms. In fact, they didn't just accept him back into their lives casually, they all gathered together to throw him a party celebrating his return that they correctly anticipated. Although, I do kind of wonder if they were planning on meeting up at SpongeBob's house every night until he came back, or if they just got lucky, because that was kind of weird, right? But look, even Squidward came to the party. So what can we learn from SpongeBob's mistake in Nature Pants? First, I want to say that I completely understand SpongeBob's desire to be more in touch with nature. If you're thinking that the lesson is we shouldn't strive for that, then you would be wrong. I have become an avid hiker over the last year or so, and I've got to say, it has been a life-changing experience. Nature is powerful. I don't know how to explain it, but just spending time in beautiful, remote places is mentally and even physically healing. Luckily for me, I happen to live in California, so some of the most beautiful places and trails on the entire planet are within driving distance. But I honestly think that anyone can make themselves more in touch with nature, regardless of where you are from. And I know this is pretty cliche. I mean, I'm basically just saying go touch grass, but with extra steps. But hey, there is a reason why cliches exist. And in my personal experience, putting myself in nature more often has had a profoundly positive impact on my life. So I would encourage everyone watching this video to do the same. You might be surprised by what you can learn about yourself if you try a particularly tough hike. The reward for completing a grueling day-long hike with stunning views is far greater than the one you get from winning a round of your favorite video game, believe me. Not that there's anything wrong with gaming, or any other hobby for that matter, but I'm starting to get a little bit sidetracked. Getting back to the point, I don't really think the primary message of this episode is to be more in touch with nature. Rather, I think it is that the people who genuinely care about you will be there for you even when you make mistakes. Even if you feel like a specific mistake you have made was particularly bad, the people who really care will support you anyways. They will forgive you, and they will help you get through your difficult moments. Sometimes, just admitting that you messed up is the difficult moment that they will help you with. Like when SpongeBob returns to his home and is greeted by everyone, what is the first thing he says?
You guys are the best. I made a huge mistake. Please forgive me.
And how was he greeted? With a Krabby Patty from Mr. Krabs, reassurance that he can return to his job, and a group hug. SpongeBob came into that moment seemingly expecting to be turned away because of his naive mistake, but in fact, he was greeted with the exact opposite. This touches on something that I have personally struggled with in my life, and maybe some of you can relate to my experience. I very often catastrophize things in my head. I get stuck thinking about how badly things can go, which can sometimes prevent me from trying new things. And when I do try new things, I often blow things out of proportion when they go wrong, assuming that the mistake I made was a lot worse than it actually was. I tend to be very hard on myself. This is something I am actively trying to overcome. I'm trying to learn to give myself more grace. Like, life is fucking hard, guys, and no one likes to fail. But failing is how you learn. Sometimes you might fail spectacularly, and those failures could have long-term consequences for yourself and others. And you can't take those mistakes back. But what you can do is learn from them and take that experience with you so you are less likely to repeat the same mistakes in a future situation. Does SpongeBob become less naive after he returns to his normal life at the end of Nature Pants?
No.
But does he make the same mistake twice?
No.
At least until the writers decide to remake this episode, because they seem to be doing that with a lot of classic episodes lately. So if you ever get stuck in your own head, just remember that there are people in your life who genuinely care about you and want what is best for you. Those people are going to make mistakes themselves, and it might not always seem like they are acting in your best interests, but if they really care, they will learn from their own mistakes and try to meet you where you are at. Okay, so in my last video, I mentioned that I had launched a Patreon account so I could start to invest more back into this channel, but my page was removed before the video was uploaded. I have since resolved that issue, so if you would like to support me, I'll include a link to that at the end of this video. There's only one tier right now, so for $5 a month, you get access to a Discord server, exclusive behind the scenes content, bonus videos, input into topics for future videos, and a Minecraft Let's Play series where I recreate Bikini Bottom in Survival Minecraft. So if any of that sounds good to you, please do check out my Patreon at the end of the video. I'll also leave a link in the description. If you liked this video, please do give it a like, that would really help me out. With that being said, that is the end of this video. Thank you so much for watching. If you really liked it and you want to know why I think Squidward is a better friend to SpongeBob than Patrick is, I'll put that video on screen for you to enjoy next. Take care, I'll catch you in the next time, and as always, never forget to be yourself.